My name is Mary. I am a teacher at the Yoga Center of Lawrence in Lawrence, Kansas. And since March, like everybody, we've been operating on Zoom as opposed to teaching in the studio. We do miss our studio, but it looks like we're going to be still on Zoom for quite a while. And I thought I'd make a video that really covers some of the ways that it could be helpful for you to set up your space in order to take a yoga class. And this is particularly for classes where you're not just watching a video, or not a video, or watching the teacher, but that the teacher is also watching you and checking to make sure that you're in the pose correctly and that everyone is doing fine. So it's really important in this case for your setup to be as clear and visible to the teacher as possible. So I have several things I want to talk about. First of all, you'll receive a Zoom invitation from the teacher generally, for our studio anyway, the day before or the morning of your class, and that lets you get onto Zoom. It lets you download the app, and then it gives you the meeting information. So do not wait until right before the class to download the app and figure out how you're going to have your setup. Instead, download the app at least, I don't know, give yourself a day or two beforehand so that you have time to get everything set up exactly right. Download it, fiddle around with it, look at the various options in it. You can set yourself up, you can say, I want to record I want to do a new meeting. You click new meeting, and then you can watch yourself as you, in your new setup. Okay, so second thing is, once you do get your setup, have it done before class starts. Don't get on at 10 o'clock and be messing around with your blankets and your mat. Get on early enough so that you're fully seated and relaxed and ready to go at the specific time. And this also gives your teacher a chance to look at your setup and say, wow, Mary, I can't see you at all, or whatever needs to happen. All right, so specifics. First of all, lighting. I happen to be sitting in a room that has a big window on the other side of my laptop, and it's daytime, so I'm getting a lot of good natural light. Have the light be on the other side of your screen. Don't be backlit. If you're backlit, that puts you completely in shadow and the teacher really can't see what you're doing. So if you don't have a window, or let's say you're taking an evening class, I have a standing lamp behind my laptop also, and this is my desk over here, and I have a desk lamp which is over and to the side, but still it front lights me and it doesn't light the screen. Let's see. Oh, okay. If you are choosing between devices, if you're considering maybe you would do it on your iPhone or your iPad or your laptop, if you have those three options, the laptop option is the best. Oh, or desktop. The desktop is probably the worst because it's usually up pretty high, and it's very difficult to move the screen around. The iPhone generally the aspect ratio is wrong and it's pretty small. And the iPad and the iPhone both suffer from the problem of finding the right way to have the screen be set up in a stable way where it's facing you directly instead of tipping back. So the laptop is the best because you set it and it's stable, and then the screen tilts. Use the others if you need to, if you don't have a laptop. But if it's a choice, pick the laptop. Also, it's ideal if your face is just about in line with the screen. So if you put your laptop on the floor, or your phone or your iPad, basically it's going to be tilted up, and the teacher doesn't get a clear view of your whole body in a nice vertical position. And if you have it up too high, then there's a very strange sort of omniscient look for the teacher that isn't very satisfactory. So straight ahead is fine. So I happen to have mine on a little stool, which is, I think that the height of a normal stool is about 16 inches off the floor. A chair seat is good. Desk height is a little bit too high. So be sure, and if you look around your house and see what you have where you can have your recording device or your viewing device be as stable as possible. Then the next thing is having your mat visible. You see here that my mat is fully visible. You can see all the way to the edge of the floor here. And this means that the teacher can absolutely see every part of you when you're seated. Your legs, your feet, your top of your head, it's all visible. And let's say you're lying down. Now, you probably aren't going to be able to see my entire body lying down, but maybe you can. But you see here that the teacher would be able to see you completely lying down, so that if you were doing something incorrectly, let's say, I don't want to think of anything. I don't want to make up something wrong to be doing, but in any case, make it so that you're as visible as possible, your entire body, and having your mat fully visible, it will help you with that. The next thing is be visible when you're standing up, and be prepared to change the screen around a little bit. This is, I find this happens quite a bit, is that my student will be completely visible, seated, and then we want to do something standing, and this is what you see. Here's my student. There's me, as you see, standing here. You can't see my head. Sometimes it's even worse. Sometimes it's more like this. So be prepared during class to get up and tilt your screen so that your teacher can completely see you. You might not be able to, if you're standing, if your hands are up, they might not be fully visible. That's really not that terrible. Okay, so just the point is, be prepared to move it around, and you'll want to move it several times, because now, of course, you see that my mat is no longer visible. So when I sit down, that's not satisfactory. Also, sometimes we use a wall as a prop, and so let's say I'm just going to do an arm stretch on this wall. Having the wall on the side of you is much better for you and for the teacher. It's easier for the teacher, and when it's easier for the teacher, it's easier for you. You have a much better experience in class. So I'm going to tilt this just a little bit because you can't see my feet. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay, so let's say I'm going to just do an arm stretch on the wall. If I'm doing it, I'll be here, put my hip on the wall. If I'm doing it and I'm still facing the screen, that means the teacher can see pretty well what I'm doing. And so yay, having the wall on this side is better. If I'm here, having the wall this way, the teacher can see less of me. So that's something you can't necessarily change what your arrangement is in your room. The arrangement of the walls, you have what you have. However, it's something to keep in mind if you have a choice. And sometimes, if you are working with a laptop, you could pick the laptop up and move it to a different location. I have one student for sure who does this. It's really great. He has two setups. He has the place where, like this, middle of the room, and then when he goes to the wall, his wall is it's actually in a different place. He picks up the laptop, takes it with him, and gets into the pose so I can really see him. All right, a little bit more. When you come in close, and there may be times when you do this, your teacher wants you to come in close. First of all, you may need to tilt the screen up so that your teacher sees you not as a headless being. And then there is, of course, this, which I just hate. No one needs to see my ceiling, and it's quite disconcerting to see only half of someone's face. So keep those things in mind. And the last thing I want to say is that I highly recommend, so don't forget that you see the teacher in a great big screen, and probably you see little thumbnails across the top of the other people in the class. So you're seeing yourself in tininess, and you don't realize that you aren't so visible. So do a practice Zoom with yourself. Get on Zoom, click New Meeting, and see what your setup looks like. And you can also, at the very beginning of class, change the view. So the view, there's a little view thing. Usually it's up in the upper right, although it changes depending on the device you're on, that shows either speaker or gallery. Actually, there's a better way. So you usually watch a class with speaker view because you see the teacher. If you want to see everybody in the class, you do gallery. But if you want to see just yourself, just temporarily, float your, either with your finger or float your mouse over the thumbnail of yourself, see the little menu that pops up, and choose Pin. And that way you can fully see what you look like. And then that's where, if you get onto Zoom, a few minutes early, 10 minutes early for class, you have a chance to do that and make sure that you have the best yoga class because you have a relationship with your teacher. All right, I probably forgot some things, but that's the big idea. Thanks. Have a nice class.